I am honored and proud to introduce the love of my life, my best friend, my wife, Frances Donnelly Wolfe.
Thank you all for inviting me here today for this important conversation. And like Sean and Tom and many others, I'm very honored that I was invited to participate. I also want to thank Attorney General Josh Shapiro and his team for their incredible work in exposing these dreadful crimes and their call for change. And I want to thank you, especially to the victims who have shared their stories with us today. Thank you. What we have read in the grand jury report and what we have heard personally from many here today, detailing the child sex abuse by Catholic priests in 6 Pennsylvania dioceses, is horrific. It is shameful, it is criminal, and it is beyond all understanding. As a lifelong Catholic, the shock and pain of this horrifying news is beyond my comprehension. It is personal to me, as I know it is for so many Pennsylvanians and for so many across our country and the world. And like so many, I feel betrayed. These victims, these brave people who have found the strength and the courage to come forward, some of whom are right here with us tonight, have described to us in gut-wrenching detail not only their wounded bodies, but the pain of their souls. They have revealed the deeply personal wounds and pains that they continue to live with every day, and they will do so for the rest of their lives. Their faith and their trust in institutions and in people have been compromised by the trauma inflicted on them and the official responses to it, or the lack thereof. For years, the stories of their ordeals were put aside, relegated to the fringes, locked away, and ignored by authorities. And now, in the retelling and the reliving of those horrors, they demonstrate courage by exposing their vulnerabilities to us all, perfect strangers to them. In asking them to come forward, we ask them to find that sense of faith and trust that they once had. And we are asking them to place that trust in us as individuals and as members of institutions. But in return, they ask us not only to find justice for their cause, but quite simply and more importantly, and perhaps in a more difficult fashion, they're asking us to do right. They trust us not to fail them again. And so we owe it to them and to our collective sense of trust and faith, while recognizing the potential of good in each of us, in each other, to do so. There must be swift legislative action to protect future victims from these horrific and degrading offenses. My husband has long supported legislative reforms built on the 4 recommendations of the grand jury. These reforms will not come close to fixing the injustices these victims have endured, but they will be important beginning steps in protecting future victims and providing recourse for the abused. Our lawmakers and elected leaders must come together immediately to agree on legislative changes that will protect victims of all crimes, and particularly the youngest, the most vulnerable survivors of these unfathomable abuses. We have failed these victims so badly for entirely too long. Now is our chance to do right, to make up for our transgressions of doing nothing in the past. Otherwise, we violate our collective duty to look out for, to care for, and to love each other. This is our penance. We cannot fail the victims now. Otherwise, we too are complicit in perpetuating this sin against them.